Hello, my name is Susanne Weber, Marburg University in Germany. I'm very happy to present the topic Dewey's Natural Laboratory and the Public Scholar within our international symposium here within the IERA Vera Conference of 2016, which has taken up the topic of the public scholar and as well, of course, Dewey's contribution to the public scholarship debate. And I'm very happy to refer to take up Dewey's notion of the natural laboratory and discuss it and relate it to the variations of the lab dispositive and diversity innovation platform strategies, so to nowadays so-called platform strategies arranging multi-stakeholder and innovation hub and innovation lab approaches. So that's what we're going to do the next around about 20 minutes. I'm happy to be here to contribute. Thank you very much, Michael Peters, for chairing this session, this symposium we have here in Washington, D.C. So let's go for our content. Very briefly, let me introduce. We're going to start with Dewey's Open Natural Laboratory and the experimental laboratory school they established in Chicago. Then we're going in this genealogical perspective, in a Foucauldian perspective, to see and to trace where we can find these ideas, this dispositive today in laboratory knowledge creation and platform strategies today. So the going public, if you wish, and with this going public of the laboratory school, if you wish, see the notions of responsibility of science involved here. So the public scholar obviously has different variations coming along with different expectations. Who is the public scholar? What should the public scholar do? And what should the public scholar relate to? What is values and responsibilities of the public scholar? We're going to look at this in the next main session, then talking about the economical and political and regional platform strategies, diversity innovation strategies with multi-stakeholder settings, and then in the last outlook, look at the public scholarship in and with society within the European Union, programmatics as well, see alternatives, so far still marginalized discourses which go for responsibility of public scholarship in socio-ecological lab strategies. Now, if we take a first look, what is the concept of laboratory we're talking about? And obviously, we're not talking about the closed shop laboratories we have in science and technology studies related to the really absent and research is really very much going for the natural science side of the world. But see, the other side here is the open laboratory idea, which was very much fostered by Dewey's work and the laboratory school. So we see here the world of education, the world of society, the world of openness, bringing about experiential learning and experimental learning and research as well. So if we take a closer look, what was it all about? The natural laboratory developed and established as well by Dewey's work. We see that this has been, of course, been an historical, innovative project, if you wish, at Chicago University, a school, a laboratory school, which was connected to the education department, which was, of course, built up by Dewey at that point in time. And it was an experimental space already then, and that's why it serves as in a genealogical perspective as a kind of a diagram for us nowadays to see that has been a practice already at this point in time, which was going for cultivating intelligent search, discovery learning, and self-effectuation and participation in a multi-stakeholder setting, be it the kids, the children, be it the pedagogues and the educators, be the researchers. So there were many different people involved in bringing this project about and using it as a learning environment as well as a research environment, and to really go for create insights and practical use at the same time. So it was an experimenting practice of teaching and learning and as well as research at this point in time, and went for going for creative and productive resources of humans in open and societal laboratory perspectives. So that's what our topic is, and why we are interested is of course that it has been a form of community life, it has been a pedagogical laboratory related to aesthetics, to art-based education. It was understood as a practice of democracy, as a theoretical norm of pedagogy. It was based on experience and action, thinking and problem solving, researching, learning, and on project-based work. And this educational alternative at this point in time in the reform educational era is, in a Foucauldian perspective, can be understood as a diagram, as a realized plan, if you wish, as a dispositive for societal collective knowledge production and creation. So in this perspective, we look on research, innovation, and learning strategies of nowadays innovation strategies in an epistemological perspective on this collective knowledge creation, and we look at it as positive analysis here and see nowadays what is public scholarship in those collective knowledge creation processes. So this is the actual material, the material analysis of knowledge orders and grammars of emergence we are interested in, and we take a closer look at the contribution on modus operandi of power knowledge here and the relational patterns between the public scholar embedded and involved in multi-stakeholder settings and those multi-professional settings and those diversity lab strategies. So what is new designs and practices of academic research and learning, and what is within the global knowledge economy, within European and national research agendas and strategies, new modes and different modes of social innovation and development. And now, if we take a closer look where we can find this nowadays, then we will see that, for example, our European Commissioner for Research, Innovation and Science, Mary Geoghegan Quinn, in many contributions, talks about the dialogue between research and the rest of society. So you see that it's not just isolated somewhere, or one school being a pilot there, but now it's becoming a political strategy for all over Europe and as well for many countries in the world. So we see that the notion of responsibility comes up. So science should take up responsibility for society. This is a new idea, this is a concept, and what is the notion of society, and what is the notion of the contribution of research to society is an interesting issue to follow up with. Now, the traditional research agenda, of course, always has been the so-called ivory tower research, where the autonomous scientist was active and, of course, followed in a mostly disciplinary perspective, going for single topic orientation, going for problem-oriented analysis, and going in this autonomous practice for analysis and critique in social science, at least. And this is what Gibbons and all comment on as old science, and this academic and sequential and a long-time oriented academic expertise mode. Now, we have this huge shift coming along in those political strategies we have seen just with the European Union agenda and going towards open research and innovation strategies, having knowledge creation in and with society. That's the program called, like nowadays, and the Horizon 2020 program. So it's simultaneous research and development now, it's multi-perspectivity, it's transdisciplinarity, and all those issues, goal-oriented, involvement, developmental, and as Fontovitz and Roberts put it, post-normal science, and as Zeman says, it's post-academic, because it's embedded into society. Now, taking a closer look, is it just an isolated something, or do we find it all over the place? And yes, we can see that it's obviously as well a practice of institutionalizing this, not as a political agenda, but as well as an institutional practice within academia in a globally pattern, if you wish, which could be, of course, changing daily if we just take up and see where is innovation, hubs popping up all over the place. If we take a closer look, it is, of course, changing landscape and daily practice. Now, taking a second look towards, is it only research oriented approach, or do we find as well learning and student-based approach, which was, of course, then Dewey's basic idea with the laboratory school. We will see that now, for example, Hasso-Plattner Institute The founder of SAP has established a School of Design Thinking in Potsdam, but as well in Stanford, it's a sister institute, and they go very much for design thinking and design research approaches in this global cooperation. And you see that is the multi-stakeholder arrangement, so students from all the different disciplines come over in order to work for and with industry, and it's very much connected to product development and very much focused on industry-based project knowledge creation here. So we see that is not only research but learning involved, student learning as well involved, and we can see that this idea of Dewey's open laboratory school is now shifting into this research of open innovation and research design. So as we have seen experimentation, we will find it here, this simultaneous mode. The involvedness of the academic researcher is in this simultaneous practice of research and development, with embedded in the multiple stakeholder settings with the multi-perspectivity expertise, and the interconnectedness is there, the solution orientation is there, the touch with the field is there, the expertise, the multi-perspectives is brought into practice, as we said already, the post-knowledge, the post-academic vision of academia and science. So obviously we have, from Dewey's perspective, coming and shifting into this lab world of research, and this is a shift which addresses generalization. If you see the landscape all over the world, where we see as well in the academic sphere that those innovation hubs and institutes are popping up everywhere. We see the methodization. We think of the design thinking and design research as a method of knowledge creation, and there's more and more methods coming up here. We see as well the collectivization of research into those collective experiments and the real experiments, the living lab world here. We see the developmentalization into societal and economical projects to develop new perspectives here, and we see as well the normalization of the public scholar. So obviously the open laboratory, the open knowledge creation as a dispositive of democratic knowledge creation, as an open laboratory practice becoming a norm for research and for innovation. And so for us now it's very interesting talking about the public scholar here. What is the variations of the public scholar, and do we find different notions of public scholarship in those diversity strategies? Now let's take a closer look to the European Union strategies here, and we will clearly see that, for example, the program Science with and for Society, but as well Horizon 2020 as a huge present research funding program, offers the topics arrangement in these platform strategies, going for developing innovative ways of connecting science to society and involve all those societal actors, the researchers, the citizens, the policymakers, business, third sector organizations, etc. So you see, this is the pattern we're talking about when we talk about the going public, if you wish, of scholarship. Now, Blair and Horst have been developing a model talking about what is the responsibility of the scientist and what is the responsibility of science in those debates. And I have two axes here talking about the internal versus external regulation, and is it more process or is it outcome oriented regarding the steer? So what is steered? Is it the process which is steered, or is it outcome which is steered? And the traditional mode of old sciences, we saw, was demarcation, so that is the ivory tower world where science is autonomous and where science regulates itself actually continuously by questioning its own motives, its own methods, and it's an autonomous, internally regulated and process-oriented practice within research, within ivory tower as an autonomous space. Now obviously the embedded researcher is shifting into external regulation and into outcome orientation, and we'll take a closer look what this means in the different fields. Having spaces here of public scholarship in the Innovation Union, which we saw already is a dominant paradigm here, which is going for aiming Europe to bring Europe up to a world-class performer in science. And the state should remove bottlenecks, create an internal market for skills, patents, venture capital, innovation, procurement. As well, It should revolutionize the way the public-private sector work together, especially innovation platforms is the mode which is thought as a mode of knowledge creation, and it should be as well, the market should be the one who sets the standards in order to foster ideas being quickly implemented into the market. So see, this is the idea of the pocket guided innovation union going for public scholarship in a mode which is obviously very much centered on market, very much oriented and missing out civil society here, going for the mode of Eskovitz and Leidensdorf work, which is based actually in those strategies, and government, academia and industry should create the so-called triple helix, the natural model science model of creating technology platforms, incubator centers of excellence, and by this as well economically led platform strategies. We see obviously that's a growth-oriented perspective that is obviously a products and services-oriented concept we find here in this economically led public scholarship idea. Now obviously if we think of the Blair and Horst perspective, we see that it's functional knowledge to be addressed here, and we see that is the research is within a useful outcome-oriented framework, and it is as well an externally regulated mode if we see that firms should lead and should set the standards for research. So obviously we see we are shifting from the internal regulation towards external regulation here. Useful science contributes to market and responsibility, then is a contribution being outcome producer for the market. Now, if we have a second look in public scholarship at urban lab strategies, which we will find as well in many different places and spaces of the world, the urban climate labs, or be it social innovation labs in the city level or regional developmental level, you will find quite a bit of this as well, which is always quite separated from technological development, because the technological development is very much as well in the risk strategies, the technological paths which are decided upon, and here we are talking about social innovation and governance innovation strategies quite a bit to integrate societal actors, and those societal actors should lead academic process and research as well, and should be involved in order to steer. So that is the process-oriented and the steering-oriented idea in order to have risk prevention participation, in order to have efficient placement of funding, which is really place the funding where it is needed, and as well we have embedded public scholarship here. As well we can find the external regulation, because it is the market, it is in this sense the public scholarship going for this orientation of the researcher and of the scholar. So it is a normative strategy because it is public values and collective patterns which are relevant here, related to class, gender, ethnicity, for example, which may lead into legitimation, representation, articulation, and as well inclusion strategies here. Now if we take a last look on an outlook on the still marginalized strategies of public scholarship, so we find a third position here after the two external regulation, outcome-oriented versus process-oriented approach. We will see that this is in and with society a socio-ecological diversity strategy discussed and represented by René von Schomberg, who is European Commissioner within the European as well, and bringing forward the idea of mutually responsiveness to each other. So all the different actors then go for responsible research and innovation as a transparent, interactive process by which societal actors and innovators become mutually responsive to each other with a view to the ethical acceptability, the sustainability and societal desirability of the innovation process and its products. So in order to see how scientific and technological advances in our society should be embedded. So the idea is to have an integral strategy, not a separate and divided one, and to have a mutual responsibility of all the actors and the partners involved. So as well, we do have here a process and outcome orientation related to socio-ecological lab strategies, and very much in a, if you wish, kind of reflexivity for solutions approach. Now here we see that is epistemic authorities, the scholarship is that it should be a critical and autonomous contributing function by reflecting and bringing in as well own perspectives. It is the internal regulation of academia and science, being in touch in relationship with society, taking as well, so being involved but staying autonomous in this field and bringing along an analytical practice here of observing design, observing critical, reflexive and design-oriented practices of responsible public scholarship. Now, if we in a nutshell just see the different parts we have seen in the last 20 minutes, we will see that we have been presenting the Dewey laboratory idea, the experiential laboratory school, shifting towards science practice in an embedded form in platform strategies, the societal world, be in the market, in economical lab strategies, and obviously here externally regulated and oriented towards functional outcomes, as well in the public and societal world of social innovation, as well here being externally regulated and as well process integration strategy where societal actors are included in order to conduct science and influence the direction of research. And we have seen the third mode, which is still marginalized, going for socio-ecological lab strategies, of integral strategies of technological and social development, and going as well for reflexivity for solutions, where science should maintain an autonomous position and not be steered regarding outcomes or as well regulation in an external pattern and mode. So that's what this presentation is all about. So just ending now, we can see that reflexivity of public scholarship then means to analyze as well the patterns, the reproductional patterns, the transformational patterns we would find in those platform strategies, and to analyze them in a power knowledge perspective and see the social differentiations as well, the goal setting processes and the transitional paths, the transformative, the knowledge creation paths in those knowledge creation worlds and in diversity innovation patterns, and really see the practices of the gaze which are taking place in those processes, and from this take a critical, analytical and autonomous stance and contributing by this to science. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to stay in touch if you're interested in debating this online or via email or other modes of communication. Thank you very much, and I wish you a happy contribution and more interesting debates during the conference of Vera and Area in Washington 2016. Thank you very much.